Today we continue Esther with chapter 2. After these things, when the anger of King Xerxes had abated, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's servants who attended him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought out for the king, and let the king appoint commissioners in all provinces of his kingdom to gather all the beautiful young virgins to the harem in the citadel of Susa, under custody of Hega, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women. Let their cosmetic treatments be given to them, and let the girl who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This pleased the king, and he did so. Now there was a Jew in the citadel of Susa, whose name was Mordecai, son of Jar, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite. Kish had been carried away from Jerusalem among the captives carried away when King Zechariah of Judah, whom King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had carried away. Mordecai had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his cousin, for she had neither father nor mother. The girl was fair and beautiful, and when her father and her mother died, Mordecai adopted her as his own daughter. So when the king's order and his edict were proclaimed, and when many women were gathered in the citadel of Susa, in the custom of Hega, Esther was also taken into the king's palace and put in the custody of Haggai, who had charge of the women. The girl pleased him and won his favor, and he quickly provided her with the cosmetic treatments and her portion of food, and with 7 chosen maids from the king's palace, and advanced her and her maids to the best place in the harem. Esther did not reveal her people or kindred, for Mordecai had charged her not to tell. Every day Mordecai would walk in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was and how she fared. The turn came for each girl to go to the king Xerxes, after being 12 months under regulations for the women, since this was the regular period of their cosmetic treatments, 6 months with oil and myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes and cosmetics for women. When the girl went in to the king, she was given whatever she asked for to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she went in, then in the morning she came back to the second harem in custody of Shahrazad, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She did not go to the king again unless the king delighted in her, and she was summoned by name. When the turn came for Esther, daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had adopted her as his own daughter, to go into the king, she asked for nothing except what Haggai, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the women, advised. Now Esther was admired by all who saw her. When Esther was taken to King Xerxes in his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebet, in the 7th year of his reign, the king loved Esther more than all the other women. Of all the virgins, she won his favor and devotion, so he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king gave a great banquet to all his officials and ministers. Esther's banquet. He also granted a holiday to the provinces and gave gifts with royal liberality. When the virgins were gathered together, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Now Esther had not revealed her kindred or her people as Mordecai had charged her, for Esther obeyed Mordecai, just as she had when she was brought up by him. In those days when Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bithan and Teresh, 2 of the king's eunuchs who guarded the threshold, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But the matter came to the knowledge of Mordecai, and he told it to Queen Esther. And Esther told the king in the name of Mordecai. When the affair was investigated and found to be so, both men were hanged on the gallows. It was recorded in the book of Annals in the presence of the king.